there, sparkly beans. It is a new year and I've got a new planner dropped. Except it's not a planner, it's the anti-planner. So I wanted to do a quick little look through of this tool. If you're new here, hi, my name is Avery, and I help justice-aligned, neurodivergent, and nerdy humans to cultivate ease and self-trust for growing into our emerging future. If you fall into the neurodivergent category that I just mentioned, then I think you might have heard of or might be interested in the anti-planner, as it is particularly designed for ADHD folks. And this really resonated with me, and I was curious about it for a couple different reasons. I've been following Dani Donovan, the creator, for a while. I believe I first encountered, like years ago, her ADHD comics when they first started coming out on Twitter, and she has also made the transition or added on TikTok and has become a popular TikTok creator in the ADHD space. So you may have encountered Dani Donovan before. And when Dani announced this planner, I was really excited because I am not actually a planner person anymore. I tried to be a planner person, and there's actually, I'll include this in a playlist of planner journaling, bullet journaling, planner related videos, because I do have some, and I have some reviews of planners from a period a few years ago where I was trying to be a planner person, but it didn't really work for me. And of course, that's sort of the point of the anti-planner. I find that with my particular combination of autism and ADHD, as well as just some things about my personality and my environment and what I like to do, that a book with dates in it where you write down things for the dates is just not a good format for me. I do some planning digitally, for sure. I do actually a lot of planning digitally, and I'm in a process right now of actually trying to simplify that. Have been for a number of months. But I think that, having some systems and structures for neurodivergent brains is really important, but then the way that we engage with those is a little bit different from a neurotypical brain. And so I was excited to see that Dani was kind of creating something to address and acknowledge that. Of course, it's the beginning of a new year. It's a time when a lot of people are interested in planners. I will just do a quick plug, a note, because I think that this planner is very resonant with this. I've been I was a productivity nerd for a long time, a very long time, and I've kind of become the anti-productivity nerd in that I'm still really interested in the details of the systems that we use to organize our lives and the structures. In fact, that is very much a part of the work that I do as a neuroemergence guide, working with neurodivergent folks and others who, are trying to find a balance between wanting to decondition from some of the systems of capitalism and, hustle culture and grind culture, and everything needs to be, planned out and get it done, and shame if you don't. Trying to move away from that while also acknowledging that sometimes structures and systems can be helpful. That is a really big interest of mine, and I created something called Unproductive that is still available at a launch price, even though it launched a little bit ago, because I kind of ran out of spoons to really do a launch with it. So I want to just note that there is a link down in the description if you are somebody who resonates with this, who is interested in, especially if you're somebody who's interested in or curious about modes such as tarot, astrology, mindfulness, but you're also kind of a nerdy brain, a person who's tried all the different planners, a person who really wants to figure out the system that works for them, and is also trying to divest from some of these norms, then I think you might find Unproductive to be useful. It's a self-paced audio course, and I think very much in a similar spirit as the anti-planner. I called it Unproductive with the un in parentheses because it's I'm not a fan of productivity as a framework, and it really is about divesting from productivity culture, but at the same time it it is about figuring out your own rhythms and your cycles and the way that your energy works. And we use there's a whole like bonus astrology section on working with your Mars sign, your Mercury sign. We use tarot to go through and teach different concepts, and it's really a almost an autistic info dump, but in a well-paced way, of all the different things that I've learned about time, energy, systems, structures, etc. So you're actually getting like a good bit of what I do with one-on-one clients in a single self-paced course that you can really do at your own in your own timing. And it's an audio course that comes with a full transcript, so you can almost read it like a book. You can read it like a book. It's like annotated and designed to be, you know, accessible, and you can click around for neurodivergent brains. And then you got the audio, and then you also have a really robust workbook with a ton of exercises and ways to apply it in your life using a bunch of different modalities. And so I think for a new year, you know, if you have been struggling with maybe like goal setting or planning or trying to figure out or feeling discouraged about whether you're able to meet your goals, or kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want to have goals. I'm not really that into goals, but then I also need to, you know, function. If that kind of thing is on your mind right now, I will just note that I think we'll take a look at the anti-planner. That would be an awesome tool. And also you can check out Unproductive below while that launch price is still available. And you might find it to be useful or helpful to you. I'll also have a link below if you're interested in working with me one-on-one as well. So, okay, that was my quick pitch, but let's talk about this, the anti-planner. Okay, so it's got a little sleeve, so I'm going to take that off and see what we have inside. I pre-ordered this, I think, a year or more ago, and there was a delay in the production, which I love. I love how like just it's fun working with. I mean, why I love working with neurodivergent clients. It's fun working with and buying things from neurodivergent people, because I think we get it. So when Dani was like, yeah, it's actually not going to come out when I planned it to come out, and you're like, yeah, no, that's fair. You are in fact ADHD, and also she's very generous and has been sending out these PDFs to people who pre-ordered, so that there's like digital versions of some of the exercises. I think some of them may be new, or maybe they're all from the book. I'm not totally sure. But so I've been kind of taking a look at those as they come out. But I have not looked at this yet. And so this is just going to be a little like flip through, look at what's inside, see if you might be interested in it. If you have been on this channel before, you may know that I don't like to review things until I've actually really worked with them. And I also know that I'm AuDHD, and there's a very good chance that I either won't work with it for a while, or that it'll take me quite a while to get to the point where I'm ready to do a review. So while it's relevant for the beginning of the new year, I just wanted to share this, because I know you also might be somebody who stumbled upon this because you are trying to decide what planner to get and you're not sure, and you're getting frustrated at the beginning of the year. And so this is kind of an alternative to that energy. So the planner itself is very nice. It's got this nice, like, buttery, kind of leathery, it's not leather, but you know, that thing when you pet the thing, and it's nice. So my autistic fam texture, we stand this texture. It's shiny. I love this design, because it's got like it's very like special interesty. It's got like D20. It's got like paint palettes, bingo card. I immediately noticed the little this thing you used to draw in school. So this is a fun little cover. It does have a an elastic, so if you like for the closure there, and it's spiral bound, which is the pages are tabbed and they're color coded, and so the tabs, this is great. The tabs are actually, I actually really like this, because, you know, what's different from this about like a planner that you would use consistently and it's for your to-do list, is it's speaking to all the ways that like executive function issues might affect you. So there's a tab for stuck, there's a tab for overwhelmed, there's a tab for unmotivated, disorganized, discouraged, and then extras. So I think that's great, because if I'm jumping into a book and I'm like in a place, I love that I can just be like, I am overwhelmed. So kudos for that. Okay. Awesome message. Oh, and this is very for ADHD brains. Let me start off by saying one thing. Your worth is not measured in productivity. Did you read that? This is what the ADHD. I feel like you may have skimmed over it kind of fast. I want to make sure this really sinks in. Your worth is not measured in productivity. That being said, this book will hopefully help you get shit done because you want to, not because you're afraid you have to. You got this. I believe in you. Heart, Dani. I love that. I have so much resonance with like the work I did last year on Productive with this, because that was really what I felt too. It's like, how do you balance, like, your worth is not measured in productivity, and also like there's stuff we want to get done, and sometimes that's challenging. So there's some of like Dani's comics. Of course, Dani's an illustrator, so we've got that comic stuff. How to take care of the thing. So it's like, this book is all about the nagging task you've been putting off forever, the one thing you avoid thinking about. So there's a whole comic about sort of the concept of having a thing, quote unquote, to do. The forward, a little 101 about what this book is for. So the anti-planner is not a planner. So to be clear, not a planner. It really is an anti-planner. I'll read a little bit of this. Planners provide one solution to get stuff done. Fill out the same templates over and over every day / week / month. And if that system stops working for you, you're SOL. Shit out of luck. The anti-planner is pretty much the opposite. It's a collection of over 100 different strategies. So if one solution doesn't work, NBD. Plus, it's meant to be used inconsistently. So this is, admittedly, the anti-planner sort of like idea. One thing that I think did confuse me a little when I was buying it, so just to be clear, is that it's not that it's a planner that's redesigned for ADHD. It's that it's basically saying, fuck the planner, and it's more of a book or a workbook, or a menu. And I think that's what these tabs like kind of speak to, right? It's a menu of like strategies. If I'm feeling stuck, like, what can I do? So I would think of this as kind of like almost like a rescue book. I don't know if other folks do this, but I have rescue lists. So like, I'm anxious, here are the things I can do. I'm sad, here are the things I can do. So it's kind of like that, a book for that. It's not designed to be used daily. It's not for keeping your to-dos. It's an evergreen resource. Basically, if you're struggling with this challenge of to-do, then that's what this book is for. It says, think of the anti-planner as a procrastination fire extinguisher. And there's a little paragraph about how you are not fucking lazy, which I appreciate. It's a page on self-defeating bullshit and dealing with that. Recommended that you use a pencil or erasable pen so you can reuse. So given how much is in this book, she was not able to include like multiple pages like some workbooks do. You can do things on paper. It also notes that you can purchase additional copies of the exercises that really like work for you from her shop. So if that's something that you want to do, but generally it's just like use a pencil. That I will admit, I'm too autistic for use a pencil, because I will be like, oh, there's like slight pencil in my, I can't do that. But if you can, use a pencil. If you're me, probably I'll type, or I'll use a piece of paper. But generally the instructions for how to use it are, you start by identifying the main emotion that is making it hardest to take care of the thing. So that was those tabs: stuck, overwhelmed, unmotivated, disorganized, or discouraged. So how are you feeling right in this moment? Flip to the tab. Read the how are you feeling descriptions to discover what deeper emotion might be the core of your productivity roadblock. And then you'll flip to that subsection for the deeper emotion and see which strategy might help out based on what you need to get done or what looks the most fun. So I like that, because I think that one of the things that's been really helpful for me, and that I find helpful for clients, especially with ADHD, is that while we can get stuck when we have a menu of like a million different options, if you've got 3 options, it's okay to just pick the one that feels good and feels fun and like, you know, and gives you that dopamine burst or what have you. Yeah. So choose an activity you'd like to try and then get started. So let's say so I'm not gonna, again, like, this is not a full review. This is just a little flip through. There is, just so you know, there's table contents for each section. So if you're trying to find like something that works for you, you can flip through it real quick. There's little comics throughout. There's one. So, too anxious to start on anything. Stressed about not getting anything done. The endless cycle. True. All right. So I'm going to, just as an example, I would say right now where I am struggling the most. Well, I feel kind of, I'm having trouble getting things started. So I've definitely been, I had COVID, as you know, if you watch the channel. I had COVID symptoms for like a good 10 weeks. I'm kind of in a place where I had to drop all of my useful supportive stuff, and then I can't remember what those things are. So I'm just like really in a place where it feels kind of like empty and I don't know how to get started. So I would say of these emotions, maybe unmotivated feels the most resonant to me right now. Like I don't have that like motivation to get started. Okay, so I'm gonna flip to the first page, and this is the how are you feeling section. It's one of these for each. So there's a quick description and then some bullet points. So you've got, for unmotivated, you've got waiting to feel like it. You've got lacking accountability, disinterested, uninspired. And then there's some bullets if you're unclear about what those mean. So just like one of the examples would be disinterested. I hate doing this shit. It's boring and or repetitive. It feels like a waste of time. I struggle to do things unless I care. This task is only important to someone else. So I do like that quickly, like it's this, but then if you're not totally sure, having the bullet list. So I would say lacking accountability, it's not that. I'm not disinterested. I'm not really doing much. Like I'm trying to do things. Uninspired. I would say waiting to feel like it is probably the closest, like waiting for the right moment. So I'm going to flip to page 160, which is going to be the first section because it was the first one on here. There is a page, a longer page as well on the flip side about the particular big emotion, or big challenge. So there's a little quote. I'll do it, but not right now. And there's a few paragraphs describing that. There's some like quick advice. Okay, so there's some quick advice from Dani even before like jumping into anything. Spend a minute imagining how good and proud you'll feel once you finish the thing. It may sound dumb, but visualization really is a powerful thing. Find an accountability buddy. Some information about that. Develop productivity rituals. Get inspired. So there's like a few like quick thoughts. What is this section about? Light a fire under your own butt. Stop making excuses. I often struggle with, I will say, I often struggle with the balance of, so being an anti-capitalist, having like an anti-capitalist framework, I think I'm always noticing the underlying messages that come from capitalism. And I think overall, this book is very much clearly geared towards, your productivity is not your worth, like very in line with that ethos. However, there are certain things where like I understand to like stop making excuses. Like sometimes we end up being like, oh, it's this and this, and you're justifying blah 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 blah. I think a sentence like that is always just a little hard for me because it's like, but I'll leave it because that's my own thing. I think some of this does have like a rah-rah kind of like cheerleading like feeling to it, and you know that resonates for some more than others. Make boring tasks suck less, and then set goals you'll actually stick to. And there's a checklist of all the things that unmotivated might look like. So if you need even more sort of like, oh, I'm feeling a particular way, but I'm not sure, you could flip to each of the tabs and see these like lists of, these are some signs that you're actually feeling that way. And it's pretty long, like 15 items. So that, you get that at the top of the section. And then, so we were going to look at the waiting to feel like it subsection. So here's the subsection. Again, you get a little comic. You get the bullet points of what that looks like. And then on the opposite page, so very similar to the section, the first section, you get like a few paragraphs, Dani just sort of explaining the thing. And then there's a little table of contents. Oh, this is cool. So there's a table of contents for the section. I like this too for ADHD brains, because I think we tend to be very like non-linear and want to jump around. So there is a table of contents for this section, but then it's like, here are some other activities in other sections that might also work for this sub-emotion. So that's handy. There's a little section like draw or write. What task will you literally never feel like doing? Oh boy. And then we just get into the exercises. So, you know, they're generally looks like 1 page per exercise. Some of them are 2 pages. There's a lot of course, because it's Dani, there's a lot of visuals, a lot of like illustrations, comics. It looks like some of the exercises are more visual, some are more like doing things. So, you know, I'm not going to try to like read through these live, but just some examples. The first one here is the suit up card game. So this one involves a deck of playing cards, and basically it's helping you to decide. So this is very similar. Actually, I'm going to probably do a review on the channel of these imperfect inspiration laminates. So this is very similar. This exercise is very similar to this, which is it's dice. So you would like pick a group of things. So this might be like, for me, I might do like fun options, for example. Like if I need a little, like, I might call it like joy, and if I'm needing a burst of joy and I don't know which one I want, I would just roll a die. So similarly, this one, you do it with cards. And the suit represents the category, and then the number represents how long. So it gamifies, which is great for ADHD brains. We tend to do pretty well with gamifications. So like, you know, here, and again, like this is going to be, so this exercise, I think you could pretty easily rewrite it to match your interests. Because for me, I would just kind of be like, I don't know about these. So the categories that Dani has are spades is admin, diamonds is cleaning, hearts is self-care, clubs is contact. And so there's a little like bulleted list of some options for each thing. I think I would, you know, what is it that I'm having trouble feeling like doing? And I would figure out the categories from there. And then if the number you get is 2 to 5, it's 5 minutes, 6 to 10 is 10 minutes, etc. Funny is, this I like. See, this is like fun. I like the playfulness of this. If you pull an ace, it's 0 minutes, keep procrastinating. I like that. Like, maybe I'll pull an ace. Yeah. And okay, so we have like, it's not just exercises. We like this one is, or I guess I should say, it's not just like that kind of like, and let's do it exercise. So this one says get in the productive mood, utilizing rituals and sensory clues. So like it has a little personal story from Dani, and then a list of some examples of like ways that you can implement having a ritual that get your brain to understand that it's like time to do the thing. So like that's more of a sort of explainer on like here's a way of working with this. But it does give you a place to write. So once you've read through that, you can write down your examples of rituals. So switch it up. This is like an exercise around places that you go. For a lot of people, this actually in the human design system that I work with, this is something where some people this is really works well for, is changing your environment up and basically giving your brain that little like boost of we're in a different place. And so this is some examples of like setting task-based task-based intentions versus time-based intentions, but they both go with a place. This is the one I'm like less into, but it's fine. Excuseless, calling yourself out on your bullshit. I do appreciate it. It says you've likely heard the "you're just making excuses" line. That shit hurts. So thank you, Dani, for saying that. Others don't get why things can be so hard. This exercise is just for you, not for anyone else. It's meant to be helpful, not shameful. Okay, so like it's like language I don't love, but at the same time, it's not supposed to be about other people's idea of what an excuse is. So this is actually like a good way to meet what your brain will often say to you. So it's basically space to write down, you know, if my brain says, I don't feel like it, then like, what can I do? Well, I can set a timer and try for 5 minutes, and then I can stop if I want to. So basically a reference sheet for yourself of what you can do. This is fun. There's like a coloring page tucked in. So there's some coloring pages in here tucked in. You know, procrastination, blackjack. So this is another one that involves using cards. Yeah, I'm not going to go through all of them. Like, this is another way to play with cards. How to function when you're sleepy AF. How to trick yourself into becoming a morning person. So some of these are just like general like lists, which I think also I know a lot of ADHD people. I love a bullet list. There's a lot of bullet lists in here. So things like, you know, here's a list of everything that you can do if you're feeling sleepy, different sensory options for waking your damn self up. How to trick yourself into being a morning person. You have some tips around alarms, around morning routines. So this is more of a structured, like boom, 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 here's what you do. And then I noticed that for some of these exercises, you will actually have a QR code for a video guide. So that's kind of cool. Like if reading a lot is not your thing, you can actually just like check out Dani explaining some of these things. Avoidance bingo. So another game, but this time instead of cards, we've got a bingo card. That's fun. So yeah, I would say that like some of this is going to be useful and for folks who get stuck on like, especially on creating your own versions, like it's going to be nice to just go to this. I do find that things that involve categories and like pre-selected activities, a lot of times they may not totally match my life or like my living space or like what I do. So just a reminder that you can, if you get this book, you can always scribble in it and change things, you know. It does look like she's made an effort though to make them like as generally applicable as it is possible to do. But that also means that like there may be things that you would really like to have in your bingo that wouldn't be here because they're specific. Like maybe you have a pet and you have to do pet care, for example. That's not going to be here because not everybody has a pet. So like in this bingo example, the letters are each like categories. So again, like life categories, how do you think of those? I do like, though, I want to call out and say thumbs up to the fact that I'm noticing, I think this is intentional, things like contact is the category. It's not life area like family, friends. I find that actually really annoying when a lot of things like this assume things about relationships. So it'll be like relationships, which is presumably romantic, you know, family, or it'll be like there's family and then there's friends, or there's romance and friends. I'm a relationship anarchist. That confuses me. So I love that it's contact, because it could be anybody. I think these categories, even though I'm not always a fan of like life areas, I think these categories are not bad. It's like cleaning, work. You know, work may not be paid work for everybody, but I think you could think of it as like your projects, your hobbies, home, contact, self-care. Those are pretty good categories. And you have fairly broad tasks like learn something new that makes your job easier. You could probably define job how you want to. Watch funny cat videos. Answer an email you've been avoiding. I do like that it looks like a lot of these exercises that have categories, they're including things like self-care, so that it's not all to-dos. There's things like watch funny cat videos, do something outside you enjoy. And then there's a blank one for this. So you could do your own categories. This one is the categories are filled in and you do your own squares. This one is your own categories. So I do like, I know she noted at the top that like there's not enough space to put in extra pages for everything, but I like that they are included in some places. There's another comic, and then avoidance logs. So this one like it does give you a couple of pages in the book, but this is one that would probably be pretty good for doing in a notebook or something. This is similar to what you might find in a planner, where there's little prompts for how to think through something. So yeah, I am noticing that there does look like there's a range, and then that's the end of the subsection. So there's a range of different modes here, which I think is good too for where your focus is. So like, I would personally be a very different focus of like, I want to read a page about setting up, you know, like a potential routine versus I'm going to like pull a playing card right now, or I'm going to do bingo, or I'm going to journal about something. So I like that. So yeah, I mean, obviously there's 100, so looks like probably about 100 different exercises, different sections. And so, like I said, it's not a full review. I'm going to work with this for a while, maybe read through the ones that I don't end up doing myself, and then I will do, obviously, again, I'm not going to like review every exercise, but I will do like a more general review sometime in the future, assuming you want it. Let me know in the comments about like the balance of exercises and sort of like what the strengths and weaknesses are, like what kinds of challenges I think it's particularly useful for, if I notice that there's anything that feels like it's missing, or like biases towards particular things. But from a quick glance, it definitely feels like it's addressing a lot of different brains, and like that is the whole point of this planner, so way to go on that. Finally, in the back there are some extras. This is one of my favorite Dani comics. Some of her comics from online were used here. I love this one a lot. Storytelling. Even literally this video, right? You can tell I don't know how to do things quickly at all, but there's like all the tangents that you go on with storytelling. So it looks like the extras, there's a little bit about Dani and Dani's comics. Oh, this is nice. There's little resources, and it's coded. It's coded by like, is it an app, website, product, book. And Dani's favorites are bolded. And then there's some, I love this because I always am tempted to do this and I never can decide whether to. Haven't read, but have heard good things. Because if you ask me, I will always know. I'll be like, here's the one thing I've read on this, and here's 3 other resources that at some point I will read. So that's kind of fun. But these are based on the sort of problems in the tabs. There's a bunch of different resources. So you can go to the exercises in the book, but you can also flip to this back. Especially maybe if you're struggling, frequently with a particular thing. So there's things like, you know, if you're disorganized and you're struggling to prioritize, well, here are some like different task managing solutions. Here's some file storage, some note taking. Yeah, it looks like there's a fair number of apps recommended, but there's also some books that will help you like dig in deeper to some of the challenges. So like under unmotivated, if you're disinterested, the recommendation is Drive: The Secret Behind What Motivates Us. I've heard a lot about that book too. If you're discouraged, you're feeling hopeless, there's a book called Stop Self-Sabotage. There's a book called Happiness by Design. So, you know, if you want to like dig in deeper to a topic, you can see that. And then of course you got Patreon supporters for that, and I think that's probably it. Yes. Cool. Cool. Last page stuff. It's just a little conclusion, but I laughed because the little subheading is, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And now I'm going to have the Semisonic song in my head for the rest of the day. So thanks, Dani. Anyway, well, that's probably true of all spiral bounds, but good grief. Okay, so note, apparently it's a little hard to get the thing. Oh, that's because, it locks the ADHD in real time. Because I don't know how a spiral bound works. We can't go either way. We have to go that way. It does just fine if you do it correctly. Wait, what? I have clearly confused myself and don't know how spiral bound works. That's fun, but that has nothing to do with the book. That has to do with my own specialness. So yeah, I would say like give it a try, grab it, especially if you're feeling like you could use like a bunch of different resources. And I will just throw in one more plug, because, you know, similar but different. Unproductive, if you like the idea of having like a reference guide, Unproductive is very, the course itself is a lot of like walking you through things, storytelling, etc. So if you if you like listening to podcasts, if you like having the feel of somebody kind of like guiding you through things and thinking about some of the more emotional parts of this, and then there's a resource, or there's the workbook itself has like a lot of different exercises that you can do over and over again. And I would actually say that my course is fairly complementary to this anti-planner, because I think Dani's really focusing on some of the like in the moment kinds of like quick things, as well as some of the routines. And I've also got some of the like routines and systems, but there's a fair amount of emphasis on the sort of spiritual component, and then on digging through some of the emotional underlying stuff and some of the stories that you might be experiencing, some of the cultural aspects of things, and a lot of opportunities with like tarot spreads and other ways to dig in if you're more of a metaphysical person. So I'll leave the link in the description below. I'll also leave the link to where Dani's site, so that you can buy the anti-planner if you're interested in it. I bought this myself. I didn't receive any compensation for this review, but I liked it and I wanted to buy it, and I'm glad I did. So yeah, you check that out. And if there's anything you would particularly like me to review, especially in the space of things that are helpful for neurodivergent people, you can feel free to let me know. If you have such a product, you can find my information down below from where you can send that. And I will see you next time. Take care.